Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with Alliance War Season 31, Number 5. Number 4 got cancelled, but I didn't really feel like calling this one Number 4, even though it is technically the 4th war that's happened, just because I want to keep the time frame consistent, and time-wise, this is the 5th war. But regardless, that's just the way I'm going to be doing it for the rest of the season. So next war, despite being the 5th war, I'm going to call War 6, and so on. But we have the team of Moleman, Warlock, and Odin. Now, I was assigned 5 fights, but I actually get one of my fights stolen while I was sleeping. I don't really know why. The guy had a worse counter than I had, but he didn't die, so I'm not going to complain about that one. It's just kind of a bummer. Kind of ruined the back half of the war for me, but it's alright. So let's take a look, and we are going to be on Path 1, Section 1, with this Human Torch on the first node and Mr. Sinister on the second node, and then we're going to be going over to Path 4, Section 2. So, first up is this Human Torch, and I actually got my assignments really early, and I decided to fight right away because the guy on Path 2 wanted to fight right away, and he needed my Odin pre-fight on one of the fights, so that he could take EMP modification safely. But, we are going to be boosting up with tech boosts. In hindsight, I probably should have used it 200%, but at that point, they weren't in the store. A few hours later, actually not even a few hours later, like 10 hours later, they came into the store, the 200% boost, so I bought a few of those. But yeah, this I decided to take it with Warlock just because I was using one special 1 boost for both, and I figured if I was using tech boost, I might as well use Warlock. And I was right. It actually ends up being much faster than it would have been with Moleman. So he is a high ground defender, and I would shock him if I used my special 1, but I'm just going to use my special 2. Throw this L2 here. It doesn't actually give me much power back because I'm not running Suicide, which is usually something to do with Warlock. And I'm going to take an L1 to the face there. My first dex was a little too late, so each dex was a little too late, which did not allow me enough time to dash back before the time. But this person plays with willpower. My next 2 Warlock fights, actually in both fights, the person plays without willpower. Is that true? Maybe in the second fight, they have willpower, but definitely not in the last fight. And this is going to be Mr. Sinister on Masochism. I was really not worried about either of these fights. They're both a complete joke. But the way that Warlock works is once I have an infection up, he is going to keep shrugging off debuffs, but he's not going to regen from it. So I timed that last parry perfectly before the Masochism came back. But also, Warlock's infections lower ability accuracy, specifically defensive ability accuracy, which means that on some of my parries, like for example right there, you'll notice that it wasn't on cooldown, but he didn't shrug off the debuff. Right there again, I'm going to bypass Masochism. Both of my L2 armor breaks, the first set of them, because I have an infection on, so there's 2 sets. The first set of them both times actually activate Masochism, but that just drains a little of his power and makes me lose out a little bit of damage. But not really worried about that. So I'm going to put a shock resistance pre-fight, the Stormbreaker one, on this Jabari Panther, and the guy on Path 2 is actually going to take it. So there we go. And I'm just saying shock resistance is on the pre-fight. So now we'll go on to our section 2, onto the sketchiest fight, and the reason I call this, the reason I named this video what it's named, and that is going to be All or Nothing Spiderham, or pretty much All or Nothing. He's just going to be so defensive, refuse to throw special attacks, and it's going to lead to a lot of complications in the fight. Now, to be fair, this defensive AI, insanely defensive AI, was only made the fight harder because I hit him a few too many times. There was a point in the fight where I had a chance to save the fight and just make it like so much easier for myself. Not save, but like simplify, make it so much faster. And I have taken this fight before. I believe it was actually last war that I took it, and I made the mistake of entering Frenzy early. If I'd made that mistake in this fight, it would have gone way better. Because of the way the AI acted. I could have got away with it, but... yeah, so Spiderham's not going to throw any specials. It has been 10 seconds already that I've been trying to bait, and he's finally going to throw one in about, I think it's 10 seconds, something like that. And that's his first special of the war. But I was just trying to not get countered, so I have to hit into his block a bunch of times, which gave him a lot of power. But here, 35 seconds into the fight, he throws his first special attack. And Spiderham's special 1 on activation from the node inflicts an armor break and a heal block on you, and then a third debuff, which is the taunt, that occurs after the special attack. So the strategy was to bait 3 special 1s, which would get me to my special 2, and then I would activate the frenzy. But the issue was that at that point he was at 0.8 bars. So I got over my 12, and I lost my evade counter, and it's not going to actually come back until my frenzy completely falls off. So I took a few hits because he evaded, and I hadn't noticed at that point that I was above. I still think that what I should have done was just not activated frenzy, and I should have just tried to only hit him while he was stunned. Although really I just had to watch his evade counter, his evade timer, because he can only evade at that point. But yeah, we're gonna eat another special one to the face, and in total I'm gonna end up eating 13 hits. But he does die right there. So despite ending 13 hits, I think I was at like 78 or 80% because of willpower. But yeah, simple enough fight. It's just that the combination of me minorly messing up and his AI being massively horrible complicated it. So for this fight, I had 2 Odin pre-fights, and I actually asked my battle group, does anyone want them? Literally anyone on Boss Island or anywhere, do you want it? And I said that after I cleared my section 1, and no one wanted them. So I decided to use them for myself. Obviously, the aptitude is going to increase the potency of my armor up. A fun fact, it's actually spelled in-game the American way. I don't know why armor up is spelled the American way, because it's a Canadian company, but it is. And the protection is just in case I take an L2 to the face, I won't die. But the plan is to just not, or to get him to not throw a single special attack. This fight is really sketchy with Warlock if you get bad AI that just throws the special attack. Has happened before, and I've almost died to this fight. I've lost my armor up, and I've almost eaten a detonation and died. But we did get that fight down rather simply, so that was pretty nice. And that's actually the end of my war. Now, I did have a fight, so if you'll notice on that right side, Node 55 Spider Gwen was supposed to be my fight with Moleman. Someone took it while I was sleeping. I don't really know why, because I had a better counter, like I said before. But they did, and they didn't die, so I'm not going to complain. Obviously, it's unfortunate, because at this point, I've lost 2 fights so far this season. I would have been at 19 fights, and both of them were actually stolen by the same guy. But I don't want to make it seem like I'm complaining. That's absolutely not what's happening. That's just part of my commentary. And we did win this war. In addition, my battle group actually had a donut. We went 50-0. We didn't die a single time. I took a screenshot, but I forgot to put it in this video. And that is actually our 2nd war in a row. So against our in our war against ASR, where we lost, we got a donut as well. So 2 consecutive donuts. Very good job, BG2, and everyone in the Alliance. The Alliance war is not quite over. We are at 148 attacker kills. No, 147, and they're at 144. And we are winning with a score of 3-11. So we should finish with a death total of 3. And they just didn't do so hot this season. This war. To be fair, in Alliance War number 1, they matched up against 4 Loki, and they died 6 times. We knew our defense was better than 4 Lokis, so we would get more defensive kills. But we didn't expect many more. We expected like the same. We expected 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe somewhere, but they just didn't. They had a little bit of an off war, including dying to my Super Scroll, which was interesting. I think they tried to use Apocalypse, which is doable. He just messed up. But yeah, that's going to be the end of my war. So we are now 3-1. Death total is at 0. PSR this season for me personally is I'm at 17 out of 17, and my deathless streak is up to 46. Now, if I don't die next season, I will have gone an entire season without dying, because all of my deaths were actually in the first half of last season. So if I make it past War 6, that's one season without dying. But that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Great job to everyone at ISO8A. We killed it, and we are going into next war feeling great. I'll see you guys later. Bye.